across the cold expanse of unending stars. There are moments when realities fracture, when timelines twist, and when a single consciousness is hurled across the boundaries of its native universe. In such a moment, Darth Revan opens his eyes. The familiar pulse of the Force is still within him, but the surrounding space carries a different weight, a different tension, a violent static that crackles like a caged storm. He is no longer in the galaxy he once shaped. He has entered a realm where war is not an event. It is the atmosphere. And in the far distance, something ancient watches him, evaluating the newcomer who has slipped into its domain. Revan senses immediately that this universe is saturated with psychic turbulence. It is heavier, more aggressive, more predatory than anything he has ever encountered. The Force had always responded to him, obedient, fluid, alive. But this energy, this other presence, feels wild, ravenous, and profoundly unstable. As he extends his perception, he recognizes that the very fabric of reality is scarred by psychic storms. Here, thought can manifest. Here, emotion takes shape. This is not the Force. This is something deeper, something darker, something that pushes back. He understands quickly. In this universe, power is not balanced. There is no harmony, no natural flow. Everything is conflict. Everything is hunger. And yet, Revan feels no fear. The duality inside him, light and shadow intertwined, strengthens. He has fought fleets, empires, identities. Now he stands ready to confront a cosmos built entirely on struggle. In the distance, metallic constructs glide through the void. Their silhouettes are familiar yet alien, massive cathedral-shaped war machines. A fleet of the Imperium of Man has detected him. Aboard the nearest battle barge, sensors flare red as they attempt to quantify the anomaly. A lone figure, floating in open space, protected by no armor, emitting a psychic signature that spikes their instruments beyond safe thresholds. The inquisitorial envoy on board issues a single command: prepare interception. But Revan does not flee. He welcomes their approach, curious to understand the forces that dominate this universe. His hand drifts toward his mask, the iconic symbol of a warrior forged in conflict. Here, it feels strangely at home. When the Space Marines arrive, their armored boots striking the gunmetal floor of the docking bay, Revan meets them without drawing a weapon. Their presence radiates discipline and engineered supremacy. Warriors not born, but constructed. Living engines of war. He reads them instantly. Loyalty, endurance, and sheer, unflinching purpose. But also something else, rigid thought. A mind conditioned for absolute judgment. They assess Revan as a psychic threat, perhaps even a cosmic infiltrator. And in their doctrine, such anomalies cannot be allowed to exist. The first strike is a thunderous impact. A space marine lunges forward, power fist igniting with electric fury. Revan moves like liquid shadow, effortless, precise. His saber ignites in a violet blaze, intercepting the blow. The Marines expect him to be overwhelmed by raw strength. Instead, they are forced backward. He analyzes each movement, each pattern, adjusting in microseconds. Though massively outmatched physically, Revan's strategic mastery turns the battle into a controlled dance. His mind is already 10 steps ahead, calculating their formation. But as the clash intensifies, Revan senses something disturbing. With every psychic exertion, the surrounding environment reacts unnaturally, rippling, echoing, distorting. His use of the Force is attracting attention. a presence he cannot fully identify. It is as if something lurking behind reality is pulling threads, watching, waiting for a moment of weakness. The Marines sense it too, but interpret it differently. They believe Revan is summoning horrors. Their aggression becomes desperation. Meanwhile, cracks of invisible energy flicker around him. Revan halts the fight, not with power, but with intention. A wave of controlled psychic force suspends the Marines, freezing them mid-strike. He wants answers, not victory. But this act triggers consequences he could not foresee. The warp, this universe's unstable psychic ocean, stirs violently. A rift blooms like a wound in the air. The Marines panic, believing a demonic incursion has begun. But Revan feels only cold curiosity. He steps closer. The warp is not an adversary, it is a puzzle. Within that rift, a figure emerges. A being of shifting colors, impossible angles, and whispering paradoxes. It studies Revan with an intelligence both playful and malevolent. This is not a demon by mythic standards. It is a sentient psychic configuration, feeding on emotion, will, and conflict. Revan examines it without flinching. The being attempts to infiltrate his mind, expecting chaos, fear, division. Instead, it finds something it did not anticipate, a consciousness already fractured, reforged, and fortified by both sides of its own inner war. Revan does not resist the intrusion. He allows it. The being attempts manipulation, seeking a foothold, but Revan's mind is a labyrinth built on discipline, memory restoration, and philosophical duality. Every attempt to dominate is turned into reflection. The being recoils. It has encountered countless psychers, none like this. Revan speaks, voice calm yet resonant. You are not a master of my mind. You are a student who has misread the lesson. The warp ripples. The Marines watch in disbelief. The entity shifts tactics, offering power, unlimited psychic amplification, influence over reality's threads, and ascension beyond physical form. But Revan has walked that path before. He knows the price of ambition without self-awareness. He declines not through morality, but through clarity. Power without purpose collapses under its own gravity, he states. The entity, insulted and confused, withdraws. The rift pulses violently. The warp cannot comprehend a being who chooses balance over dominance. When the rift closes, Revan returns his attention to the Marines. Instead of finishing the conflict, he deactivates his saber. The Marines expect treachery. Instead, Revan returns their weapons. He offers knowledge, not allegiance. He seeks understanding of the warp, of this galaxy, of its endless cycle of war. But such curiosity is forbidden. The inquisitorial envoy arrives, issuing a decree. Revan must be classified as an extreme threat. His very existence destabilizes reality. He must be purged. Revan listens, impassive. Yet within him, a new calculation begins. This universe is built on survival through absolute violence. But its greatest flaw is fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of deviation. Fear of potential. Revan sees opportunity. Here, individuals do not shape the galaxy. Massive institutions do. Endless war has stagnated evolution. And Revan, a strategist who once reshaped entire civilizations, senses the greatest challenge of his life. Not destruction, not conquest, but transformation. As the Inquisitor raises his weapon, Revan acts, not with aggression, but with elegance. A precise burst of psychic interference disables every targeting system in the chamber. The lights flicker, the atmosphere trembles. The Inquisitor collapses under the weight of a consciousness far more advanced than any sanctioned psyker. Revan does not kill him. Instead, he sends a message through the ship's Vox network. Your universe fights for survival. I fight for understanding. And I will not be caged. The ship erupts into chaos. Klaxons howl, reinforcements mobilize. But Revan has already left, bending reality around him, slipping through space like a shifting echo. He appears aboard a smaller vessel, unmanned but functional. With a gesture, he rewires its systems, adapting them to his needs. Warp travel intrigues him. If he can map its structure, he may uncover truths hidden even from this universe's greatest minds. And so, he enters the warp, not as prey, but as an explorer. The moment Revan enters the warp, the universe changes shape. Space dissolves into a storm of colors that do not exist in any natural spectrum. Echoes of thoughts, some ancient, some newborn, spiral around him like drifting specters. The warp is not a place. It is the collective subconscious of a galaxy in perpetual conflict. Most who enter are swallowed by its chaos. But Revan's mind forms a stabilizing field around itself, sculpting order from entropy through sheer discipline. He moves through the storm as if walking through memory. He studies the environment not with fear, but with fascination. Here, emotion is substance. Here, intention has mass. Every ripple is a story. Every surge, a fragment of will. Revan tests the boundaries by focusing a single thought, an image of his mask. The warp answers instantly, forging a colossal phantom version of it across the horizon. Not a threat, an acknowledgement. The phenomenon confirms his hypothesis. The warp is responsive, but response without control is merely chaos. Revan intends to do what few have ever achieved, understand it. Yet even within the warp, something monitors him. A presence older than empires, older than species, drifting through the psychic tides like a leviathan of pure intent. It circles him without form, curious but cautious. Revan feels its gaze, a pressure across his mind that vibrates like a deep harmonic. It is not hostile, at least not yet. It senses his dual nature, his fractured past, his relentless will, and for the first time, Revan recognizes he is being evaluated by a force that exists beyond mere power. The presence manifests a voice, though not through sound. It speaks through shifting impulses, like a question posed by the universe itself. It wants to understand his purpose. Revan answers by projecting his history. Wars fought, paths chosen, identities lost and reclaimed. The presence responds with a cascade of visions. Tribes worshipping distant stars, worlds consumed by psychic storms, civilizations rising and collapsing under their own ambitions. Through these visions, Revan learns something profound. The warp is not malicious. It is reactive. It becomes what the galaxy demands it to be. As Revan delves deeper, he encounters zones of pure predatory instinct, regions shaped by millennia of fear, rage, and desperation. These areas press against him, testing not his strength, but his resolve. He counters by allowing both sides of himself, light and shadow, to coexist without conflict. This balance confuses the warp. It cannot categorize him. Entities attempt to mimic his form, hoping to decipher him, but each fails. Revan is not defined by a single impulse. He is defined by mastery over contradiction. Eventually, he reaches a region of relative calm, an island of stability within the storm. Here, thoughts crystallize into structures resembling cities, monuments, or tombs built from memory. Revan studies the psychic architecture. These are remnants of powerful minds, psychers, strategists, visionaries whose final thoughts left an imprint on the warp. Among them, he senses echoes of legendary commanders whose tactical brilliance shaped entire epochs. Their strategies linger like silent ghosts,
Revan absorbs these patterns, integrating their approaches into his own evolving philosophy.
Suddenly, the warp shifts violently. A tidal wave of hostile intention surges toward him. Unlike previous manifestations, this one possesses cohesion, an organized intelligence, sculpted from countless minds unified by a single desire. It lunges with overwhelming force, attempting to bind Revan within a prison of psychic density. The average psyker would be crushed, their mind shattered into fragments. But Revan anchors himself in discipline. He focuses not on resisting the wave, but on redirecting it, allowing the assault to flow around him like water around stone. The entity falters. Its assumption was simple: domination through pressure. But Revan is immune to brute psychic force. His strength lies in precision. With a single mental shift, he turns the entity's aggression inward, forcing it to confront its own unstable identity. The wave collapses in on itself, dissolving into harmless particles of thought. The warp quiets. The silent Leviathan presence returns, observing him with renewed interest. Revan realizes the truth. This ancient consciousness is not a ruler. It is a witness, studying anomalies that defy its understanding. A witness sends him a final vision. He sees star systems burning, fleets clashing, species fighting for survival. He sees the Imperium marching toward inevitable stagnation, Xeno's empires rising and falling, and the warp intertwined with every outcome. The vision's message is clear. This universe is locked in cycles that repeat endlessly. Every faction fights, but none evolve. Revan understands the implication. His arrival was not an accident. The universe is testing whether a single individual can disrupt a pattern older than memory. As the vision fades, the warp begins to eject him. Not forcefully, but deliberately, like a teacher ending a lesson. Revan allows the current to guide him, letting his consciousness return to the material galaxy. He emerges aboard his vessel, systems stabilizing around him. But something has changed. His perception is sharper, deeper. He understands the rules of this universe and how to break them. The warp did not consume him. It acknowledged him. And now, he has a mission, not conquest. Revan pilots the vessel out of the warp, emerging near the fractured edge of Imperial space. The stars here are dim, shrouded by dust clouds and forgotten conflicts. His mind processes countless possibilities simultaneously. The Imperium will interpret his reappearance as a threat. The Inquisition will mobilize entire sectors to contain him. And somewhere in the void, the warp's ancient witness waits to observe the outcome. Revan sees the board clearly. Every move will ripple through a galaxy already fraying under the weight of its own history. Instead of fleeing, he seeks knowledge. He infiltrates the data streams of a derelict relay station, projecting his consciousness into its circuitry with delicate precision. Records unfold before him: planetary wars, industrial decay, technological stagnation, and a civilization surviving through sheer inertia. He compares this galaxy to his own past. The parallels are striking: empires blinded by fear, leaders clinging to doctrine over evolution, and conflicts perpetuated because no one dares to reshape the system. Revan sees opportunity. The imperfections of this universe are not weaknesses, they are openings. His next target is a frontier world abandoned after a Tyranid incursion. Ruins stretch across the surface like skeletal remains of forgotten ambition. The silence is absolute, but the land is rich with psychic echoes: fear, desperation, defiance. Revan walks through the shattered city, studying the aftermath. The Tyranids fascinate him, a species operating with unity so absolute that individuality ceases to matter. Efficiency perfected through consumption. He realizes they are not mindless. They are a biological strategy given form. He wonders how this universe survives forces like these. As he reaches the planet's central tower, he senses life. A small group of survivors, malnourished, exhausted, yet clinging to hope, hide beneath rubble. They freeze when they see him, assuming he is another hostile presence. Revan kneels, lowering his saber, communicating not through words, but through calm intent. Their fear melts into cautious curiosity. They recount the Tyrannid attack, the Imperium's retreat, and the abandonment of their world. Revan listens intently. Their suffering reinforces what he already suspected. Institutions here do not protect individuals. They protect themselves. Revan makes a choice. He does not promise salvation nor allegiance. Instead, he demonstrates possibility. With a focused gesture, he reconstructs a collapsed shelter, shaping metal and stone as if manipulating memory. The survivors watch in silent awe. Revan sees their reactions, not adoration, but realization. They are witnessing a form of agency they have never seen, a being who does not demand obedience, yet reshapes their fate. Revan understands the value of such impressions. Ideas can spread faster than fleets. However, his act does not go unnoticed. Orbital sensors detect anomalous activity. An Imperial patrol ship descends through the atmosphere, deploying a squad of Tempestus scions. Their orders: contain the anomaly, preserve Imperial authority, eliminate destabilizing influences. Revan stands unarmed as they approach, observing their precise formation. These are elite soldiers, sharp, disciplined, efficient. But beneath their professionalism lies the same issue he has seen everywhere in this universe: absolute loyalty, but limited perspective. They see threat, not potential. The scions demand his surrender. Revan responds with calm logic. He offers cooperation, information, and negotiation. But their training rejects nuance. They open fire, attempting a perfectly coordinated suppression maneuver. Revan does not retaliate. Instead, he redirects the kinetic energy, scattering the shots into harmless arcs of blue light. His movements are measured, almost instructional. He neutralizes their weapons without harming them. The scions, stunned by the impossibility of what they are witnessing, begin to question their directives. Some hesitate, some doubt, and doubt spreads quickly. A lieutenant steps forward, demanding to know what Revan is, not who, what. Revan answers truthfully: a strategist exploring a broken system. The lieutenant, loyal yet perceptive, recognizes the implications. This being does not act like a psyker, nor like a Xenos infiltrator. He behaves like someone who sees patterns beyond the battlefield. The lieutenant lowers his weapon. The squad follows. In that moment, Revan understands something crucial. Change in this universe will not come from overthrowing empires. It will come from disrupting assumptions. But the Inquisition does not tolerate hesitation. A kill signal arrived from orbit, overriding Scion protocols. Their armor locks, preparing a forced self-detonation to eliminate both the anomaly and the witnesses. Revan reacts instantly. A ripple of concentrated mental force freezes the activation sequence. He walks among the immobilized soldiers, analyzing the embedded devices. This is not warfare. This is fear weaponized against its own protectors. Revan disarms each device and sends a message to the orbital ship. Control through destruction is not control. It is collapse. Moments later, the orbiting vessel charges its weapons, prepared to fire on the entire settlement. Revan looks to the survivors. then to the soldiers who moments ago considered him an enemy. He understands the symbolism of what must happen next. With a precise psychic projection, he interfaces with the ship's targeting systems, overriding them one by one. The vessel seizes, engines shutting down, weapons going cold. Revan does not destroy it. He leaves it intact, a silent reminder that overwhelming force can be neutralized, not through violence, but through superior understanding. With the Imperial vessel neutralized, the survivors and scions watch Revan in stunned silence. He knows this event will not stay isolated. Word will spread, whispers of an unknown figure capable of bending matter, pacifying soldiers, and disarming an orbital strike without a single casualty. In a galaxy where hope is rare and innovation is forbidden, such an anomaly becomes a catalyst. Revan senses the shift. The galaxy has noticed his presence, and the forces that guide its destiny are repositioning themselves accordingly. Revan departs the planet, leaving behind a repaired shelter, a reactivated comms array, and a group of Imperials who have witnessed something their doctrine does not account for. As he ascends into orbit, he studies the silent, disabled patrol ship one last time. It is a symbol of everything wrong with this galaxy. A system so rigid that it destroys its own protectors to maintain control. Revan resolves to challenge this paradigm, not through rebellion, but by exposing the flaws that everyone has accepted as inevitabilities. His vessel transitions into the void, approaching a region marked by scattered wreckage and ghost signals. Here, he finds the remains of a massive conflict. Space Marine Strout cruisers, Xenos craft, mechanized Titan fragments, all drifting through space like metallic fossils. Revan explores the ruins, scanning for patterns. Every piece of debris tells the same story: strength without vision, power without adaptation. He realizes that this galaxy's true enemy is not any single faction, but the cycle that binds them all. Endless war has become the default state, preventing evolution. As he reflects, a new threat emerges. A splinter fleet of Terranid bioships drifts into the region, drawn by the psychic echoes of recent battles. Their presence is overwhelming, a biological empire functioning as a single organism. Revan feels the hive mind focusing on him, analyzing his signature. Its intent is simple: categorize, consume, adapt. Instead of fleeing, Revan reaches out with a controlled pulse of thought, probing the collective intelligence. The hive mind responds instantly, mirroring his signal. For a moment, two strategic minds examine each other across the void. Revan recognizes a truth the galaxy refuses to accept: the Tyranids are not chaos incarnate. They are evolution incarnate. They adapt with unparalleled efficiency, unburdened by ideology or fear. Revan withdraws his probe before the hive mind can trace it, but the exchange gave him insight. If a force so singularly focused can adapt endlessly, then a universe constrained by rigid doctrine is destined to collapse. Revan now understands his mission fully: not to conquer, not to dominate, but to disrupt the stagnation throttling this galaxy's future. He charts a new course toward the heart of Imperial space, not to wage war, but to test the system from within. He intends to confront their logic, challenge their assumptions, and prove that survival requires change. The galaxy has never encountered a strategist like Revan, a mind sharpened by duality, strengthened by identity, and unfazed by the immensity of conflict. As the stars stretch into lines during the jump, he reflects on the warp's silent witness. Their observation is not over, and neither is his purpose. Revan's vessel disappears into the cosmic haze, leaving behind a galaxy subtly shifted by his arrival. Rumors begin spreading across fragmented communications. Stories of a figure who disarms entire battalions, who walks through psychic storms untouched, who reshapes metal with thought alone. Some call him a threat, others call him a possibility, but all agree on one truth. The galaxy has gained a variable it cannot predict. And in a universe defined by endless war, unpredictability is the first step toward transformation. Darth Revan has entered the 41st millennium, and nothing will remain unchanged.